Okay, so here we have the nonlinear reverb. I'm going to have a look at this one first. I have a snare. We're going to be listening to the reverbs this way. I just prefer to do it this way. So nonlinear means that we're going to have a gate working with the reverb. So at a certain point of the reverb, you'll hear a gate cutting the reverb. So it doesn't gradually fade out like a normal reverb. It is gated at a certain point. Okay, and that's determined by the time here. It tells you when the gate is going to kick in and cut the reverb out. And you can hear it. It stops abruptly, right? So that's the nonlinear reverb characteristic. So it's a gated reverb. So let's go here to the pre-delay. Pre-delay, it tells you when the reverb is going to kick in. Is it going to start straight away when you hit the sample? Is it going to start straight away, or is there going to be a delay for the reverb to kick in? So straight away takes 250 milliseconds to actually start. Then we have the dry signal. So this means, so if I tap here, you'll see that the dry signal, the snare, is going to be played after the reverb. Okay. So you can use this creatively. Obviously, you can see that already. We have the time. We saw that. We can actually extend this, and you'll hear that it takes a second for the gate to stop the reverb. Can push this one down. So it takes a second, and then the gate stops the reverb. Then we have the mix, where you can just hear the reverb and no dry signal. So you can mix in between the two signals. And if I push it all the way up, you'll only hear the reverb. Okay. So here we go for diffusion. I'm going to push the mix all the way up so we can only hear the reverb sound. So let's go for diffusion, right? Diffusion is the actual reverb. It's that smooth sound of the reverb. If we push it all the way up, we can hear the reverb in full effect. There's no dry signal, okay? This is just the reverb. Okay, we also have an EQ on the side. It helps us balance the highs and the lows of the reverb. So that's very helpful. If I push the diffusion all the way down, you'll only hear the delay lines of the reverb. It's kind of like a scatter effect. Almost sounds like those drummers playing the snares. Okay. So that's because the diffusion is all the way down. You only get those percussion sounds of the reverb. That's the actual delay of the delay line of the reverb. And then you mask it with the actual reverb effect. Okay, then you have the width. How broad the sound is going to be, or how narrow it sounds. Okay, how I see myself using this, I would be with percussion sounds mostly. But again, there are no rules to the game. I never think of rules. I always go creatively when I work with any tool. So let's hear some of the presets. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention there's a reverse here as well. So, you know, you can create stuff like, let's listen. Okay, this one has reverse on. So with the reverse, it just, you know, it turns the reverb around. Instead of gradually going down, it goes up. So it's a reversed signal. You can do stuff like this. So yeah, you can choose just the gated signal or the reverse signal, which is gated as well. So if I go with my, you can hear that it's still gated. So we have the reverb right here, but first we're going to go to the spring reverb. I'm going to select that. Now, this is my favorite. This has a real analog sound to it. That's what it's intended, right? It's a very warm sounding reverb. And it has even less features, but the sound, when you think of a reverb, you think of a spring reverb. It's a very warm sound. Let me just get that. You have a low cut right there. Takes out the lows. You've got the width as well, diffusion, same principles. Look at that. This one goes up to 10 seconds. You got a pre-delay as well, so how long it's going to wait for the reverb to kick in. Let me push the mix down so you can hear the dry signal. So it has a very beautiful sound to it, very analog, very warm. I like it. Very simple sounding reverb. If you add a delay before the chain with this afterwards, you're going to get some great results as well. So this is the spring reverb. There's not much to say about this other than the quality of this one. It's really the best one for me. I really love it. Okay, so here we are with the main reverb from Air Music. I see this reverb as a much more deep reverb with a lot more functions in it than the other two. Here you can really create a sense of place, create your own ambience, and you can use this in a return track where you can send several sounds to this reverb and they all match in that sense of place that you can create from this reverb. So it's a much deeper reverb than the other two. Let's just listen to some presets to start. Okay, so we have these functions right here, pre-delay. Obviously, that's the same thing. How long it's going to take for the actual sound of the reverb to come out. So it takes really those 250 milliseconds for the reverb to pop out. Then we have the room size. And that's exactly what it does. It can create the shape of the room, saying that's a small or a big room. So if you push it down, so you can see that it sounds just like a small room. Now if I push it up, you'll increase the size of the room and you can clearly hear that. Okay, so that's the room size. Then you have the time. Obviously, that's how long the reverberation is going to take effect. And you can take this to infinite, which means the sound of the reverb won't stop. We'll just keep on playing. Then you have the mix between the dry signal and the wet signal. So we have this panel right here for the early reflections of the reverb. So this is a very useful tool. Our ears kind of perceive the size of the room by the early reflections. It can tell us how big a room is, how small a room is. So that's the tool that we can really work with to give us that sense of place as well. So this is all about sense of place, this entire plugin. You can really create a room ambience of your own. And don't forget that you can also save that preset. So these are the early reflections. You have some different types of reflections right there. We can double tap there. And you see you have really different types of reflections. We also have two additional parameters that allow us to control those early reflections as well. So the length and the tail of that early reflection. Let's have a listen to that. So let's jump to this section right here. We have the input and the output width of the reverb. So that's going to tell us how the sound is going to enter, how the audio signal is going to enter the reverb. Is it going to come with a wider sound into the reverb, or is it going to come narrow and then widen after that to the output? So you can shape that. Again, another tool to shape where you are, how you perceive the sound, how you perceive the place where you are within the space that you're trying to create. So the delay will affect the delay lines of the reverb. Okay, it will make them sound bigger. In that case, making the reverberation sound bigger as well. So it will increase that amount of reverberation. You can hear those drumming sounds, those delay lines. That's what you're hearing right there. Jumping to the next one right there, we have ambience and density. So density will be kind of like diffusion as well, where you would have more of that reverb effect coming out. If you put it to less, then you'll hear more of the echo and less of that reverb sound quality. Right. So here the ambience is going to affect the start of the reverb. Okay, lower places, smaller places, bigger places. Again, small things that make that if you're looking for that special sweet spot of the reverb, these are the tools that you're looking for. So this acts on the attack of the reverb, if it comes out quickly or if it comes out gradually with a much smoother entrance, kind of like a fade in into the reverb. Okay, let's jump to page number 2 of the reverb. Okay, so this section right here will affect the tonal aspect of the sound of the reverb. Okay, we have some EQs for that. So you can control the high frequencies and the low frequencies. Right here at the top, we have the time. It tells us how long the high frequencies are going to take effect or how long the low frequencies are going to take effect. If you want the low frequencies to stop quicker, if you want the low frequencies to stop before the high frequencies, you can do that right here. So you say that I want some high frequencies in my reverb, but I want them just to be at the beginning, sitting just at the beginning, then at the end, you'll only hear the low frequencies. So you can say that. So you have control over the highs and the lows of the reverb right here. Okay, and the time is just for that saying. So I'm going to take my high frequencies down to 70. I'm going to increase my low frequencies. You can also say where the frequencies are as well. So basically you can EQ the reverb sound, saying which frequencies you want to stay, which ones you want lower. You have two types right here, the highs and the lows. Let's try the cut. So it's like a high pass filter. So that was a quick overlook of this air reverb as well. So we have 3 reverbs. They all have their own different uses and their own characteristics to them. Remember, one you can reverse and has a gate. The other one is a much more warmer, which is the spring reverb, where you can get that really classical analog vibe, analog feeling, a lot warmer from the spring reverb. And then you have this one, which is dedicated to design, sound designing ambiences, sound designing, creating your own reverb with this one right here. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.